everybody. Welcome back to America's Mom. I am your host, Sharona Bishop. And today we are going to take a little nostalgic look back on the history of the making of America's Mom. And I think it's really important to know that we've been here for a minute. And I want you to remember that we've been here for a minute. We've had some unbelievable highs and we've had some devastating lows. And all the while, I have always been a mother of four working to make things better for my kids. And so I want to share with you guys in October 5th of 2020. So this is before the FBI raid. This is before I became enemy number one, before all the nonsense. I'm just doing my thing. And the only people I had to worry about was the LGBTQ cult. That's the only people I really had to worry about. A little bit of Polis and his crew, but really that was it. And I felt like on October 5th of 2020 that I had lived a little bit of life. We are 5 years out from this, and I think you'll have a couple chuckles if you know any of our history. And then just as a mom and as a freedom-loving American, I think you'll be extremely encouraged by this message. This was presented at Church for All Nations in Colorado Springs, Colorado after a couple of years of activism, educating, running very successful campaigns, and really getting into the mire with the left. So, without further ado, this one is for all of you, our roots here on America's Mom.
In this age of technology, I don't know why I'm carrying all these books around, but it's been said that if you read a book a month for 5 years, you'll be an expert in that field. So that's my goal, right? Be an expert in this field of two things. Two of the greatest gifts that God gave us. Number one, Jesus the Christ. And secondly, self-determination. I believe those are the two greatest gifts that God has given to us. And I love seeing self-determination exercised in this room tonight. Thank you for having freedom here. My name is Sharona Bishop, also known as America's Mom. And I want to share with you just a little bit before we start. I just want to have you be keeping this in your mind. I was driving down or up, over, and around to get here today. And I was reminded of one of my absolute favorite songs that was inspired by Pikes Peak. And I was thinking about this actually because it is absolutely one of my favorite songs. And that's America the Beautiful. You all know that song? So be thinking about that. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. But there's so much inspiration here in Colorado Springs anyway. You are the base of freedom. I've always thought of Colorado Springs as patriotic, free, freedom-loving. So it's really an honor to be here tonight. I can't even tell you. It's been my heart's desire to speak to believers, to speak to Christians about our obligation to be involved in policy. Nobody likes politics. Politics is a little bit of what we saw last night that some people didn't like. It's the nastiness and the games and all that kind of stuff. But I promise you, policy will find you. And policy will ruin your life the way that it's ruining a lot of people's lives in Colorado. Policy is showing up in the form of the acceptance of socialism as a real viable option in the United States of America. And the reason that America's Mom was founded was because we will never, as long as I have anything to say about it and every other American mother have anything to say about it, we will never allow America to be a socialist nation, ever, ever. So I want to just read a passage to you before we begin, and that is out of Psalm 62, if you have that. Throughout this journey, I'm going to share just a little bit because my desire is to empower all of you. I don't want anyone to feel that I'm particularly qualified. I hope you leave here going, oh my word, if she can do this, I can do even more. And I mean that in the way that I meant it, which is I am a mother of four. I am not qualified to be doing what I'm doing, but God has said otherwise. Psalm 62 says, I just love this psalm so much. You might remember this psalm was written when Absalom was away from David, and David is missing his son, but also like really upset that Absalom is trying to kill him. And he says, truly my soul waits upon God. From him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. These next two verses are really where we're going to be today. How long will you imagine mischief against a man? You will be slain, all of you. As a bowing wall shall ye be, as a tottering fence. They only consult to cast him down from his excellency. They delight in lies. They bless with their mouth, but they curse inwardly. My soul waits only upon God, for my expectation is from him. 4 years ago, actually, it's 5 years ago now. This journey started because we were putting our kids in public education for the first time. I had a 6th grader who was getting tired of a charter school where he had to wear a uniform all the time, and he was begging to go to public school. And my husband and I said, well, how bad can it be? And it was a small community. I'm like, okay, let's go. We had formed something called CMP, which was, what was it? I can't remember what the C stood for. Mentor program. I'll think of it in a minute. And basically what we were doing was we were allowing the public to get into the schools so they could see what was going on. So I kind of felt like, okay, he can go to school and I'll be going in to check on him. The first thing that happened was the school told me I wasn't allowed to come in, that there were privacy issues. That proved to be false. They just didn't want me to be there. Because when I got there, they were doing, he was a 6th grader, he was doing around 4th grade work. That was my first big red flag. But beyond that, it was not well run. It was really a fiasco. It really was, especially considering coming from a very organized, structured, disciplined environment that had vision, purpose, and a goal. And I was very disappointed. So I started looking in to see who was on the school board because I understood that the school board was in charge of curriculum. The school board members, and mind you, I came from Mesa County, which is very conservative. All of our representation largely is conservative, meaning that they value your personal liberties over government control. And so with that, I was like, what's going on with the school board? It was a very liberal school board. And there happened to be a race happening that year. And it was with a woman, a doctor who had moved in from Denver, very, very liberal, loved and endorsed the comprehensive sex education we're going to talk about in a little bit, and ended up being funded by the Denver Teachers Union in a small town like Mesa County. Wasn't even from there. So I started going, what is going on? This is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Our entire school board, with one exception, is completely liberal-minded, and I would say progressive. Liberals would want more liberty. Progressives don't. They want restraint and control and only their narrative put on whatever it is they're doing. There's no freedom of thought, only their thought. So I was like, what is going on here? And why are they funding $90,000 in a local school board race? It was crazy. The most a school board race should be is like $1,500. Like, it's not competitive. Well, that's when I started really getting involved and going, I need to learn how to speak. I don't know what's going on here. I don't get it. All of us in this room can relate to that feeling of knowing something is very, very wrong, but we cannot articulate it. We can't espouse it. We can't even really identify it. We just know this is so wrong. And so we go to social media and we do a big Facebook post, and all of the, everybody comes out and hammers us because we don't really know what we're talking about. We just know that there's something very wrong. I wanted to figure out what that was. So the first thing I did was started going to a Toastmasters, a Liberty Toastmasters, to learn. I pulled the wrong book out. This is the Patriot. This is for schools, but I had my Constitution in my purse too. If you don't mind rummaging through there, I just wanted to read the Supreme Law eventually. Oh, it's right here. Never mind. I am a mom. I'm sorry. I was still rummaging. See if you can find some good stuff in there. There's another book in there. I just wanted to know my founding principles. I wanted to know, what are my rights? And I'm ashamed to say that at 35 years old, I didn't know. I knew I could bear arms, but even that was being infringed on in Colorado. So that was going away too. I just started studying and listening to the Constitution over and over and over. I am that person that would just play the YouTube version of Constitution over and over and over till it just started being a part of me. And they're not learning it, you guys. Our kids are not learning their rights. They don't know what they are. That's why they're being allowed to be masked up in schools right now, because they don't even know their basic health rights in Colorado. They don't know, and they definitely don't know their Constitution. So we just started listening over and over and over, and I'm telling you these things because this leads up to where we're at right now. And I tell you what, I got very bold. Well, I started writing speeches about the things that were bothering me and then supporting them with evidence. Became a researcher on the things that mattered to me. And that's really what led up to one of the biggest challenges that I've ever faced, which was being social and public about my opinions. Cancel culture is alive and well. And even as a mom, people don't want to hear truth if it is in conflict with what they believe. If it's in conflict with what they believe, they don't want to hear it. And they really don't want to hear it from a mother, because you do have power as a mother. You're raising the next generation. And people fundamentally have respect for mothers. Even the worst guy in jail loves his mama, right? So fast forward another year later, we moved up to where we live now, and started. That was right about the time that Polis took office. I didn't know anything about our governor. Even though I was involved in politics, Google did a really great job of scrubbing everything about his personal life leading up to the election. I promise you, there was nothing on the internet about his lifestyle. Nothing. Someone had called me and said, hey, you need to take, I had put a post up saying, he won't be the worst. He's into small business. He's pro-charter school. It'll be all right if he wins. It's okay. And they were like, you need to reevaluate that statement and go actually do some research. And I did. You guys, I couldn't find anything about his personal life. I couldn't even really find anything about his time in Congress. And I couldn't find much about his time as Colorado Department of Education board member. It was really odd. But I did find a picture of him and Hillary Clinton together. And I saved that because you can no longer find it anywhere. They're very good friends. So after the election happened, remember that election, this is really important for where we're at right now. On that election, there was a bill, 181. It was about oil and gas. It was about about oil, your wells not being closer than 1,500 feet to a house. We voted that down because if we had voted for it, it would have killed the last remnants of energy in Colorado. Well, obviously, once Polis took office, they immediately legislated that law for us. And since there is what we call a supermajority in the House right now, meaning the governor, the Senate, and the representatives, the majority is all Democrat. And actually, they're not even Democrats, they're socialists. And because of that, we have no say in Colorado about what is going on with us. What is happening to us is literally happening to us because we have no say. We have no say right now. There's no balance in our leadership and our representation in Colorado. So where does that take us? Well, we had another bill for oil and gas passed by Polis, and it was very devastating. We had, I'm going to actually, if you want to go ahead and start the PowerPoint, thank you. I should talk about my family, because when this happened, after Polis took office, I started getting really scared because I didn't understand what was going on. I was like, whoa, hold the phone. This guy is like going 100 miles an hour. In the first 80 days of his governorship, I was like, this is insane. We had the sex ed bill. We had national popular vote, interstate compact. We had energy dead, and on and on and on. Mental health bills we're going to talk about in a minute. And I was looking at my children. These are my 4 kids. I have 3 boys and a girl. And I was going, they are not going to be able to grow up in Colorado. We are going to have to leave this state. And then my dear husband, who is just as crazy about liberty as I am, who is just an amazing dad and an amazing husband and a solid believer. We've had a lot of conflicts about how we were going to attack this, because this is our home. We were both born and raised here in Colorado, and we didn't want to give it up so easily. You know, Jesus only had 12 disciples. Only 56 men signed the Constitution. Only 51 people survived that original ship ride over here to America to get things started here. Very small groups of people make a massive difference. And if we really look back on the individuals in history, we can see that the power of one person deciding that it's not about them, that whatever happens, what did we just read? The Lord is my rock. He is my fortress. He is my savior. He is my protector, and he will defend me. If we really believe that's true, we have to start living like it. It's embarrassing. It's humbling. I have no, I have no pride anymore. Anything I thought was awesome about me has been exploited and ripped apart, and that's totally fine. Because now I can just get to work. So it's actually a very freeing thing to decide I don't care anymore, because they are what matters, and they're going to inherit what we leave behind. Next, please. Absolutely. You start to realize as you're walking through government and what's happening that Thomas Paine was exactly right. I know Thomas Paine got crazy later, I know. But I love this quote. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even at its best, is but a necessary evil. Always remember that. Government is meant to be put in check by the people. We were never supposed to just elect them and walk away. We should not be looking for reasons to defend them. We should be calling out their record and making sure that everyone knows their record. That's what matters. I don't care what kind of person they are, quite frankly. Their policies are what matter. And speaking of such, as we look at the president that we've had for the last 3.5 years, his policies have bettered the lives of every single category of American and even non-Americans in America. So policy is what matters. Next, please. After this venture into making the decision that I was going to do something, I just didn't know what. I was going to start holding elected officials accountable. I got my hands on a book, and I brought this book because I really want you guys to see it. It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. When Thomas Paine says that government is but a necessary evil, he knew two things already. He knew that government is easily compromised. You know, God has told us what the heart of man is. It's abundantly wicked. Who can know it? Who can know it? Even the best of us falls. And the book that I got my hands on was a book called The Franklin Scandal. I want you to write that down. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but it tells the story of what happens to our elected officials. It tells the story of why a rebel-rousing real estate mogul had to step in to save America, a non-politician. It's all court documented. It's all completely documented. And it tells the story of what we would call compromised. Elected officials who become compromised and can no longer fulfill the promises that they've made to you. And that's why we, the people, are required to hold them in check. I really encourage you to get this book and read it. And know it's a very hard, devastating read. But it was the ignition. It wasn't my kids were the ignition. It was the gasoline. It was the gasoline that lit me up and said, I will not comply anymore. I will not be quiet anymore. Because we've known that something is very wrong, but we didn't know what it was. This will tell you exactly what it is. And it's devastating. And it's also why regular people were supposed to be in positions of servant, by the way, servants in these elected positions. Regular people, not lifetime career political science degree politicians. No. That's not what the founders had in mind. And not only is it not what they had in mind, they believed it would be citizen-led. They thought all of us would take it seriously what they laid down their life, their treasure, everything for, their future. They had no idea if they were going to win. They fought for years and years and years before we finally won and defeated the crown. They did not know for sure that we were going to win. And they thought we would be better men and women. And we need to be that. The second book that I want to encourage you all to get before I go to the next slide is don't go to the next slide. Don't do it. Stay here. Is The Blueprint. This is where you learn about Colorado and what has happened here over the last 12 years. It's literally been a plan, you guys. It's a plan. You know, the God of this world is very sneaky. He is that serpent of old. He is very sneaky. He's devising schemes and plans that are to devastate and ruin us. And it's all in this book right here. I encourage you to get it and read it and understand the times. This is the times that we're living in right now where 4 billionaires and millionaires, one of them being our governor, can get together and create a plan to flip us into a socialist state. They've done it in California. They're doing it in Oregon. There is a small group of amazing patriots like all of you in Washington who are fighting like we are to keep them from doing that to them. And they've moved into Texas. And they're implementing this same plan in Texas right now. Well, what's the plan? I want you to know that I'm not going to preach doom and gloom tonight. I'm not. I just want you to know, because you can't move forward. You can't act on what you don't know. And we can't be ignorant any longer. We just can't. I remember the days when life was a lot simpler, and I miss that sometimes. But now that I know the truth, I also realize that God has called us into purpose. And my purpose wasn't just to have fun the rest of my life. My purpose was to have a future for my kids and to fight for what God has put in front of me to fight. I don't ever want to put an unnecessary burden on you, but we all are Americans in this room. And so we have an obligation to defend our country. When I look up at this screen up here, I want to give you two things to think about tonight. The first thing that you must do to secure your territory is to make sure your sheriff is with you. The sheriff is the last line of defense. He is the one who will protect you from a tyrannical government. He is the one. It is so important to have a relationship of accountability with your sheriff. I'm going to just read for just a minute the Supreme Law. When we very first started this activism, we held an event called a Concerned Citizens Rally. And I invited our sheriff, I invited our elected officials, our senator, our representative, and I think a mayor or a school board member, I think. At the time, all I was thinking of was senators and representatives and sheriffs. So that's who I invited. And they came, and we had caught wind that maybe our sheriff wasn't going to be as strong on the red flag law as we had hoped he would. So we stood up there, and we shared this with him. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. What that means is, if it doesn't line up with the Constitution, it's not a law at all. And that is your defense. And listen, there are complicated issues, but this is simple. Any laws they are making that violate your constitutional protections are unlawful. They are not laws at all. And when you have the words to be able to say that to them, it changes everything, because you will know more than most of your law enforcement. You might even know more than your sheriff, unfortunately. Ours is amazing. Our sheriff, if you can put that back up there. Our sheriff is incredible. And after we had that little accountability session, all of a sudden our sheriff was a part of the KMA club. I won't say what that is here today, but you can guess. He was very strong for us. I'll tell you afterwards if you want to ask. He was very strong for us in the red flag, and he's been very strong for us in the Constitution. Standing next to, or the next picture, is a young woman who decided that, just like many of you in this room, it's why you're here tonight. You had a fire, you knew something was wrong, you wanted to act. You might recognize her as the owner of Shooter's Grill, Lauren Boebert. We did a lot of activism together, and we carried the petitions. We tried to out the governor. We did all of those things. And one day we had heard from our congressman, and we heard him say that Maxine Waters and AOC, this is the world we live in, and they're directing the ship. And I tell you what, we looked at each other and said, not on our watch. And that's what started the campaign to launch the biggest primary upset ever in the history of Colorado, to unseat a 5-term incumbent because we needed vocal representation. We needed people to be loud on our behalf and represent our needs and our issues in Washington. And unfortunately, our congressman has stopped doing that. Now we're in a general election, and the power of one person and what Lauren Boebert has been able to inspire, not only in Colorado, not only our Western Slope, but across the nation, is unbelievable. And so if you ever think that one person can't make a massive shift, you look at Lauren Boebert. She grew up in a Democrat home. She grew up under failed socialist policies. She was supposed to be one of them. But she found her freedom and her liberty in Jesus Christ first. And through that relationship, she realized, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I do not need the government to do that. So thank you, Lord. She's amazing. Next. So we've set out on a mission now to educate people on what's happening, so that you might be inspired. You might have a fire lit inside of you to go and be active on your own behalf, on your community's behalf, and on the future. We are living in a time like no other, you guys. There's never been a time in America where we are literally listening to people endorse an ideology that has cost millions, if not billions, of lives throughout the years. Socialism. It's Marxism. It's choosing who gets to live and die, who gets to be wealthy while the majority stay poor. It's government telling you everything. The COVID experience has been a trial of socialism. Where you can go, what you can do, who you can see, what you have to have on while you go, what time you can go. How many of us in here still have not been able to visit our elderly who are in any type of facilities? This is crazy. This is not right. It violates our First, our Fourth, and our 14th Amendment protections in the Constitution. None of these COVID restrictions have been laws. They did not pass through the legislature. They are unlawful. They're mandates. They are not laws at all. At all. Not at all. But we have to be empowered with that knowledge. The last book I want to share with you before we get into where we're at is, and it goes right along with our slide, is a book called A Choice, Not an Echo. This is very, very powerful, and it leads up to the president that we have right now as well. It's a very, very powerful book on conservatism, and it tells the story of what we all know. Listen, we all know that the majority of people in America love America. We love our Constitution. We've been the silent majority for too long. Now, I like to call, initially when people get fired up, right? We leave here tonight, we're all fired up, is we have this zealous phase, we might call it the immature patriot. I'm okay with that. If you leave here as an immature patriot for a little while, just keep growing, keep going. You're gonna be very zealous. You're gonna be telling everybody everything, and I'm totally fine with that. Because out of that, you'll start to have to get real knowledge. You'll have to start educating yourself on the claims that you're making. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're always supposed to be growing in our knowledge and our understanding, right? In the Bible, and in my opinion, right after that is the Constitution and our founding principles, because this is the light of the world. America is the great light. You don't see people who are trying to get into Cuba. You don't see people escaping from America to go anywhere else. They want to be here because why? We have freedom. Are we a republic or a democracy? If I hear that we're a democracy one more time, I've decided to start spitting every time I hear it. We are not a democracy. Democracy is exercised in a form by the majority vote in our local municipalities, right? And even in our state election, we have the majority of the votes wins. That's the example of democracy. We're a democracy within a republic, but we are not a democracy. We just have democratic attributes, which is that voting part. But at the end of the day, the reason they keep calling us a democracy is because they want to undo the national popular vote, okay? And we'll get there in just a minute. We are a republic, which means that we have elected officials who represent on our behalf. Now, one of the great things about Colorado, especially, is that we have it written into our state constitution, is that once we no longer give permission, we can remove them. We remove our consent to be governed. And we can do that in Colorado. We can unseat any elected official that we've put in there when we no longer give them permission to govern us. We are not their slaves. We are not their slaves. In fact, they work for us. From the school board, to the mayor, to the city council, to the representatives. They're not stars. They're not superstars. They are servants, and they work for you. And you have to remind them of that. We got very aggressive when we first started trying to shift our county around in reminding them that they work for we the people. We are not their slaves, and they are not superstars and the popular ones in our town. They work for us, and that's that. And they take that oath to uphold your constitutional protections from the very beginning. If they're advising rules or laws or mandates that are not constitutional, remove them. At the very least, make it very, very public and start writing your editorial hit pieces. So we are a republic governed. It's very important because that keeps us from turning into anarchy, right? We don't want anarchy. We don't want what Antifa's been doing. We don't want riots. We don't want what Oregon experienced with their little, destination community. Yeah, it was crazy. We don't want that. We don't want the biggest bat wins, right? We want order, and the republic gives us order. We have voting for a reason. It gives us structure, it gives us order, we can replace those people, and then we move on. There's always been, for over 200 years, a calm, peaceful transfer of power. And I love what the president did say, and he's not wrong, that up until his election anyway. But once he was elected, they went to work probably even before, as we're finding out, trying to undo a duly elected president. But this idea of the republic has allowed for peaceful transitions of power for over 200 years. It's incredible. Next, please. The Democrat Constitutional Republic, I think this is the constitutional republic that we live under. So we are a republic guided by a constitution. And I love, you guys all know this, I've heard all of you already saying it tonight, when Benjamin Franklin was asked, what are we? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. He didn't say if your elected officials can keep it. He said if you can keep it. It's up to us, it's our responsibility. I'm not a huge fan of Alexander Hamilton, but I do like that. Next, please. James Madison is one of my favorites, and I think that this quote is actually worth being said out loud. If we resort for a criterion to the different principles on which different forms of government are established, we may define a republic to be, or at least may bestow that name on, a government which derives its powers directly or indirectly from the great body of the people and is administered by persons holding their offices, key part right here, during pleasures for a limited period of time and during good behavior, okay? And if they're not, we out them. It's our responsibility to do that. And do you notice the limited time, not 47 years later? There's a reason things are the way they are. Politicians were not supposed to be lifetime appointment. Congress is not a lifetime appointment. Next. Go ahead and skip, please. All right, next. This is very important for tonight because this speaks to what's happening here in Colorado. Our governor has actively pursued something unconstitutional called an interstate compact. It actually is a violation of the Constitution of the United States. States may not make interstate compacts. They may not unite together against the rest of the country. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and it's treasonous. But right now what's happening is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact it's an agreement between several states in the union, and they have decided that once they hit 270 delegates, then they are going to convert to this voting majority, right? A democracy, if you will. And the one with the most votes wins. Next. Here's the problem. What do you guys see there? Red means red, just so you know. It means those are red, those are Republican states. And the blue, that's where Hillary won versus where Trump won in 2016. Okay, so we're looking at this. We're seeing a couple. I want you to just notice some of the big states. California over there has got 55 electoral votes. I said delegates, I meant electoral votes, sorry. And then you've got all of the Midwest, which is very, very conservative for a good reason. We know how to get on our own. We don't need government. And then you've got Colorado that was flipped blue. And then you've got the states on the end over there in the east. They are high population capacity. They have millions of people in those tiny little areas and no public lands, no open spaces. Next. I love this quote. Our founders were not stupid. They were looking at every potential possibility of what America could become. And they were concerned. Even back then, if you haven't read the Federalist Papers, they almost instantly start regretting what they've done, given us freedom. We give the people freedom. What are they going to do with it? They don't know what they have. They don't know what it was like to live under tyranny. And so therefore, we abuse it. We let it go. We let government start telling us what to do. Please read this quote on your own. It's an incredible thought to know they knew. They knew what was going to happen. We were going to split into factions. It was going to be right versus left, and we were going to be at war with one another. It's an incredible quote. Next. This is the chart of Trump versus Hillary Clinton. And this is very, very important because in the top there, these numbers are correct. There are 3,141 counties of the United States. Trump won 2,626 of them. Clinton only won 487. The problem with doing a majority wins is that there is not representation for the expansive areas like Colorado, where we're spread out, where we have rural areas. If they are successful in getting the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, next please, Colorado will never, ever have a say in the presidential election ever again, along with most of the rural states. They will literally fly to California, New York, Texas, and Florida. That will be it. Those 4 states will determine all of the policies that affect the entire rest of the nation. And let's just talk about Colorado resources for a moment. You think for 1 minute we're going to get to keep our resources? Absolutely not. Our resources will be promised to California, and that will be the end of it. This is very, very important. The Electoral College is not outdated. In fact, the Electoral College took a long time to perfect. Did you know that they implemented the Electoral College, then took it away, and then brought it back again? Because they realized the rural areas have no representation if we go by majority vote. The big cities, we're seeing it here in Colorado. Denver controls us. We are seeing this right now in Colorado. Boulder and Denver tell the rest of the state what to do. And we don't want what they have. We don't want to do what they want to do. They can do what they want to do. They have a mayor. They can do what they want to do. But we don't want that here. Next. The next is energy. I'm going to actually have you flip, go ahead and skip this. all I can say about that is just this past week, just to let you know what's going on, the COGCC and the Air Quality Control Commission just made, remember how we voted no against 181? You know, because we knew it would kill energy. They said now you can't have a site within 2,000 feet of a structure. Energy's done. Energy's done in Colorado. And that was a rules committee. It's not a legislative thing. It never went through the legislative body. They are literally trying to destroy everything. I met with a man this past week who is a third-generation Coloradan Hispanic man from Aurora, Colorado, built an incredible energy business that employs thousands of people, largely Hispanic, and he's leaving. He's leaving. They're going. They're based in Golden. They have facilities all over the state, and he said, we can't even get a permit. We can't do anything. We're done. We're leaving. So they're gone. So that just happened this past week. Your worldview really matters. Who you think is in charge really matters. I think God is in charge ultimately, but we are his hands and feet, and he's asked us to do some stuff. Our governor believes that he's in charge. He's been working on a plan for 12 years to get what he wanted here in Colorado. And by the way, you want to know why he was mad? It's in the book. The reason he got mad is because Colorado is a live and let live state. We do not grant special rights to people. I don't care who you are. I don't even get special. I don't get special rights. Moms don't get special rights. And he wanted special rights for the LGBTQ community. And Colorado said, no, we don't do special rights. Everybody's equal in Colorado. We're not doing that. He got mad. And that's what started this plan to flip Colorado. Governor Polis believes that diversity matters far more than the quality of a person or your character. He believes that children, this is actually off of a video that he did, he believes that children are our greatest potential capital. He sees our kids as commodities. He does not see them as little humans and little individuals. Governor Polis believes that early childhood education is the greatest tool for social change. These are actually quotes. The last two are quotes. He believes that early childhood education is the greatest tool for social change. Change to what? What kind of social change? Next. This last year, a bill was passed called HB 1032. This is what launched America's Mom. We started, and all I did was sit there and read the bill. And people were like, you're lying. This can't possibly happen. This is so stupid. Nobody would ever do that. I'm like, I'm just reading the bill. I'm just reading it right here. This is what they've done. I want you to know what this is. Comprehensive sex education has been in Colorado. It's been here for a while, 2003. However, this is a on steroids version. This basically what they did is they made a bill that said, this is what you have to teach for sexual health in schools. And we're not talking just about high school. We're talking about elementary and middle school and high school. I need you all to hear me on this. Not one single thing I'm about to say is an exaggeration. So what they did was they said, first of all, you can only have these kind of things. Number one, you must teach alternative lifestyles, which, okay, I think we all kind of talk about that anyway. And you must teach how to have interactive, how you're going to have intimacy in those lifestyles. You're going to teach them how to do it. That's happening right now. It was amazing to see how fast this was implemented in small rural areas where I live. Leadville, Colorado was one of the first places we went where parents, they were holding pride weeks during school hours. The kids were being forced to participate, even if it was against their own convictions. They were not notifying parents because they don't have to anymore because 1032 has been written into law. 1032 says that children are sexual beings, and so therefore we have to teach them what to do with that sexuality. We are literally paying for the grooming of our children for predators. When you take into account that our children are now masked at school, just sit on that for a minute. Who is providing the curriculum? International Planned Parenthood Association. Theirs is the only curriculum that fit 1032. See, what happened was they made these margins so narrow, the type of curriculum you could use so concise that no one else has it. The only people that have it are the ones who helped create the bill 1032. Planned Parenthood partnered with your Democrat legislature to create 1032. They had the curriculum ready to go. They were super excited when the bill was passed. They did a press release on it, super excited, because now they had access to our children. So the grooming starts supposedly in 3rd grade, where children start learning about all of their body parts and how they work. Some schools are teaching how to masturbate at 8 years old. It does depend on where you're at, for sure, how far they're going to go. Boulder County was already doing this stuff. In fact, right away, a group called the Queer Endeavor popped up right away. It was 2 women who had graduated from Boulder who decided that they would like to help children discover their queerness very early on so that they could avoid some of the hardships of life that they experienced because they didn't figure out that they were gay until adulthood. So they wanted to help children discover if they were gay at, kindergarten. Their curriculum and what they do is designed to draw it out of 5-year-olds. Our children are not sexual beings. They're children. Adults are sexual beings eventually at some point, but not children. Pedophiles believe that children are sexual beings. They have unlimited funds. They have unlimited resources to implement this ideology into our schools. Next. These are some examples of the books that are being used. They're teaching gender fluidity, which just means basically you're not a boy or a girl, you're whatever you want to be. You're whatever you say you are. If you go on to America's Mom on YouTube, we actually read some of the books so you can hear firsthand what are in the books that they're sharing with our kids. Even in my conservative area, they read a book called What is a Family? It's not as benign as it sounds. And we did immediately go to the school. We brought it to the principal's attention, and I said, this is, first of all, we're teaching optimums. Optimum is a mother, a father, and a nuclear family that stays together. That's what we want for our kids. That's what we want for the future, because that's what guarantees the most successful outcome for your kids. It's just how it is. I come from a broken home, so please don't ever take offense. But as much as possible, we need to teach that back to our kids again. All families are not the same. That's true. But we don't need to be promoting a disadvantage to our kids. And it was a disadvantage to me, by the way, to grow up in a broken home. We get through it, though. We have the Lord. It's good. He works it out. But that's not optimum. In addition to that, next, please. In addition to that is... just some other examples. This is the color wheel. You may have seen last year the gender-neutral gingerbread man. Anybody see that floating around? That actually was going around in Colorado at different schools here in Colorado because it's not against the law, you guys. You have to be the ones who go to your school board and say, school board, you're in charge of curriculum. Your school board is in charge of curriculum, and your school board is in charge of the money, how the money is spent. But they are the ones who are choosing what curriculum is being used at the schools. So we've had several schools, thankfully, who have said we are opting out of sex education completely. We're done. I know, isn't that awesome? It's been coming. It's a long time coming, and it's necessary because you don't even know the person who's teaching this to your kids. You have no idea who they are. And we learned the very hard way in our family that we should have done a lot more investigating. Next. If you don't think that there is a war on the family, and there is a war on mothers, this was the most trolled post I've ever had. All we did was the start of COVID back in April, I think this was. This was a mom who was a friend of mine. She posted a story, and I was like, that is exactly how I feel. And she could say it better than I could. So I posted that along with her story, which was just, my daughter's really sad. She wants to play at the park. She doesn't understand this COVID thing. When is this going to end? She'd been laid off of her job, also, by the way, so no income coming in. Everybody's freaking out. Life is not the same. I posted this. This picture and story brought 150,000 trolls to my page. And trolls are people who just light it up. They're horrifying. They're everything you can imagine, that's what they do. They attack people. They overwhelm your page. And they overwhelm what you're trying to do. They doxed me, which means they put all my information out there for other people to know where I was and where I lived. And my children started making memes about my kids. And we didn't care. We got through it. We deleted everything. It's fine. You get through it. It's no big deal. But isn't it interesting that the most, and I posted on everything. I post on transgender. I post on elected officials. I post on Democrat. I post on everything that is important to the family unit. And this is what they came against. A mother feeling sorrow for her child. They don't want it. Moms are powerful, and they don't want to see this stuff, because it reminds them that there's something wrong in the world. They can't articulate it, so they fight back with their nastiness. It's horrifying what they do. Next, please. This one is very, very significant and very important. It's funny because news is happening every day, so it's kind of exciting to be here with you guys talking about this. Yesterday, Governor Polis came out with his insistence that kids get back in school right away. Last year, a bill was passed, 1120. It's a youth mental health bill. And basically what this bill, well, not basically, what this bill says is that children over the age of 12 years old do not have to have parental consent for mental health evaluations, for mental health counseling, or to see a psychiatrist. Here's what's fascinating. There's no, and I asked and asked and asked, I called legislators, I asked the people who were on the bill, please explain to me, does the psychiatrist have the right to prescribe under this bill? Psychiatrists have prescriptive authority. If they don't, people in their office do. Are they able to utilize? They were never willing to give me a straight answer, and the bill leaves it very open. So over the age of 12 years old in the state of Colorado, your child can receive mental health services, by the way, without your knowledge, ever. And if they have prescriptive authority, hopefully you're seeing the big picture. There is a work here in Colorado to promote as much alternative lifestyle, transgenderism as possible in this state. Because what started all this? They were mad that we would not be inclusive, or give extra rights. It wasn't about inclusivity, it was about extra rights. So you see the writing on the wall, and you're trying to alert the public as to what's going on, and they just won't listen. So we started calling around and asking more about this bill. And we realized that there's a mental health collaboration happening in Mesa County, actually, where they've brought someone in to watch and observe our students without parental consent, without parental permission, to write up a whole research study on mental health on our kids. And the parents have no idea this is going on at all. And by the way, that was supported by a Republican in Colorado. Next. We've also decided that we cannot have conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is not electric waterboarding. Can we just get that straight right away? Conversion therapy means, hey, buddy, you're only 12 years old. Don't worry about it right now. You're going to be okay. You're going through hormones. If you feel like you're a girl, let's hang out for a little while. Let's get through a few years. When you're 18, we'll revisit this. That would be considered conversion therapy. Talking about whether or not they'd had any experiences of abuse that might have led them to where they're at. That would be considered conversion therapy. It's been banned in the state of Colorado last year. Next. What do we do? Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. The problem is that one day these people are going to be taking care of you. These kids that were growing up are going to be taking care of us. They're going to be making the laws. They're going to be running the states, the cities, the counties, the country. They're going to be running everything. And they're not going to have a foundation to stand on. They're not going to have that heritage that we've all had. A lot of us have had. I want to just advise, if you have your phone, snap a quick picture, because what's happening is that even in the most conservative areas like Colorado Springs, I'm very aware of your politics here in Colorado Springs and what's happening, and they're dismantling you guys as well, one area at a time. Thankfully, you have a really awesome school system here of choice. But having said that, your school board is the one who's making all the decisions. They have way more power and authority than they're supposed to have. And then from there, your superintendent is enforcing it. They need to be held accountable. There's a lot of battles that we're fighting that we're not winning. I'm just going to tell you that right now. We've had a few cool wins, but most of the things we're doing is we are preparing for when our victory comes. And we're getting used to what it feels like to lose so that it doesn't faze us anymore. So I want you to know that when you're in the ring, you are going to get knocked out a lot. Get used to it. Start to embrace it. Start to feel really good when it happens. It is winning. It's just that you've got to get to the next fight. We know that ultimately our victory is in God's hands. We know that. But right now, while we are here, we have to defend the most precious among us. And at the very least, that is our kids. They are the least among us. They are the most vulnerable and the most incapable of speaking up for themselves. And we have to be their voice for real. The progressive socialists have said that they want to be the voice. They want to give them options. They want to give them mental health care. They want to give them prescriptions. They want to help them change genders. They want to do whatever makes them happy. We haven't even talked about the age of consent that changed last year also. Horrifying. You think everything California has, we already have it, you guys. I saw everybody all fired up about the age of consent change. We already have that. Already got it. Already did that in Colorado. But we're also in a total and complete media blackout in Colorado. Just yesterday, not only did Polis talk about the need to get kids back in school and then belittled homeschooling families and homeschooling parents, suggested that they needed psychiatric care. We saw that our own Secretary of State was able to shut down a CBS News story on voter fraud here in Colorado. Yeah, it's happening all around us, and we are in a media blackout in Colorado, which is why it's more important than ever that every one of you in here are being vocal. You have to be the ones who are telling the story of what's happening here in Colorado and what's happening in your area. When you see injustice, you have to speak up. You have to be the one. We all watched in total horror last week as a mother was handcuffed and tased for not wearing a mask at her son's football game in the open air, sitting more than 6 feet apart from everybody else except her family. No men stood up. As a mother, as a woman, I've been spit on. I've been yelled horrible things at because I refused to wear a mask by men. By men. And no man came to my rescue. My husband went up, but he wasn't with me. We need you guys to stand up for us. I know that modern culture has done a great job of shutting you down and saying that your toxic masculinity is not wanted here. I'm here to say we want it. We want your toxic masculinity. We want your voice in the voter box. We want you present with our kids. We want you coming to our school board meetings and standing up for our kids, because here's what happens when a man walks in the room. This is not sexist or anything. A man is 2-to-1 to a woman. When a man speaks up, his effort is double that of a woman. It's true. I live in the world of reality, and I'm a powerful woman. My husband has lifted me up, and he has put me on a pedestal, and he has poured good things into me. But I know when he speaks, everybody listens to him. And it's cost him. So what? God will take care of us. Do we believe that or not? Do we believe that the Lord is going to take care of us when we stand up for what's right? And everybody's standing will look a little bit different, for sure. You may not be doing a social media platform, but what God gives you, you have to exercise. Because we saw with Queen Esther, Mordecai said, relief will come. It will come. Even if it's not from you. And you don't want to be that person. Who knows that you did not do what God asked you to do. He will find someone else because he has a plan. We're not just flying around on a ball out in the middle of space. God has a perfect plan, and he's invited every single one of us to be a part of that plan. I have found that conservatism and teaching conservative values leads people to Christ. Because these are what? These are innate values. These are God-given values. Our Constitution isn't man-made. It's not man-contrived. It's based off of God's morals. It's based off of God's values about what he says about humanity, about equity, about rights that no one can take away. No one. But we're letting them systematically tell us we don't know how to be parents to our kids. And this election, these Senate races, your local representative races, your county commissioners, let me tell you, county commissioner is huge. It's huge. It is what is going to protect your community, is who you vote in for county commissioners, along with your sheriff. It is so vitally important that every one of you are engaged. I encourage you to never, ever walk alone. When you're having complaints, when you're ready to get in the battle and you're ready to fight, if you find a couple moms and dads or aunts or uncles or grandmas and grandpas that will stand with you, go to these meetings. Make the time. We stopped watching football this year. I hope a lot of you have too, because we've got other things to do. We got other things to do. In our home, we have decided we don't kneel to anyone but God. We will never kneel to anyone but God. And so that time now is being used to do whatever it is that the Lord is needing us to do. Whatever he's asking us to do and however he's asking us to step in and fill in. Right now, my husband's home with my kids, our kids. He's doing what he needs to do so that I could be here tonight. We have a massive battle out there right now. You know, a lot of people are picking apart Trump today, and they're saying he was too rude. He was total toxic masculinity last night, guys. But guess what? If you believe that he really is fighting for the heart and soul of this country, if you really do believe that socialism is on the horizon and they are trying to take our freedoms one by one, wouldn't you be a little salty too? Wouldn't you be doing everything you could to stop the flow, to stem the tide? Yes, we would. And you know what? It took someone like him to step in, because we're also full of niceties. And I can tell you from doing this, is that niceties don't win. We've had commissioners say, Sharona, can't you just tone it down, just be a little quieter? Quiet's not winning. Quiet's no longer winning. Civility is, and civility, what I mean by that is, we call people out. We say, hey, why'd you do this? We say, hey, why are you passing that? Hey, why are you still saying that people have to wear masks when the CDC just said that 6-foot spray is not a thing? Why are you doing that? That's what we mean. We don't mean anarchy. We don't mean chaos, and we definitely don't mean rioting. But we definitely have to be vocal. Next, please. It's not enough to be here at church. It's not enough even to be on social media. We always talk about that. Please stay off social media. If you can make phone calls and Canvas, do that instead. But I love this. In order to have freedom, we must also have morality. You cannot have freedom without morality. Here's the thing. God said, when he said that we were free, he didn't say free to do whatever. We're free to do what is right, not whatever. It is not do what thou wilt. That's not the law. Freedom is to do what is right. And part of the reason that I'm here tonight as a Christian is because Jesus said that it was for freedom that he set us free. He wanted us to be free. America has provided that place for us to be free. But we do need to strive to be righteous as well. And I don't just mean publicly righteous. I mean in our personal existence. When no one is with us, we need to commit those things to God. We need to get these areas in our life right and make sure that we can walk with our heads up, confident, knowing that we are fulfilling the will of God. And it's hard to do that if we have a double mind. So I just want to encourage you. It's not a judgment, but it is an encouragement to make sure that you get those things right in your life that might be inhibiting you from doing and being what God has called you to do and to be. I know that I went through that process personally, and it's hard. It's horrible. But at the end of it is freedom. You can stand up, you can hold your head high, and you can say whatever it is that God has asked you to say. And you can do whatever it is that God has asked you to do. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I want to just, you're going to stay? Can we just keep going? I want to remind you, I love, love, love this song. I really do. And I want to take a minute. In the age of technology, guys, sorry. 2 Peter 1:3 says, according to his divine power, he has given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness through the knowledge of him, and has called us to glory and to virtue. God will give us what we need to live out what he's asked us to do, I promise you. Even if you're struggling with something, he will give you what you need to fulfill his perfect calling on your life. Don't ever doubt that. All we need to do is confess what that might be so we can move on. There are a lot of Christians who are inhibited from doing this work because they're afraid of what might be found out about them. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And we are asked and required and responsible to exercise that if we want to live free. Whew. I just want to end with this because, and we can sure take questions, but it was such a blessing to be asked to come here tonight. This was something on my heart for the last since February, however long ago that's been, that I really wanted to be able to share this with other believers. I came to Christ when I was 5 years old. I was very aware I was a sinner. I had 3 brothers, and I hated them. So I knew that I needed Jesus, and he has been the faithful, solid thing in my life. Always. Oh, beautiful beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. His grace is sufficient. His grace will cover us, will lead us, will guide us, will direct us, and will provide for us as we endeavor to do what's right. God bless all of you. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight and letting me share this with you. Let's go.